They say history is written by the victors. But what if that's only half the truth? What if history isn't just written by the victors, but rewritten by the liars? Across centuries, humanity has been fed stories so polished, so powerful, that they've become part of who we are. Yet behind those comforting myths often hides something darker, a distortion of fact, shaped by politics, pride, or simple misunderstanding. So tonight, we're peeling back the layers of legend to expose 10 of the biggest lies in history, stories the world believed for generations, even though they were never quite true. Number 1. Columbus and the Flat Earth Myth. Let's start with the legend that defined an entire era of discovery. It's 1492. Christopher Columbus, the fearless Italian navigator, sails west across an uncharted ocean. Everyone around him believes the Earth is flat, or so we're told, that if he sails too far, he might fall off the edge. Columbus, the brave visionary, defies superstition and proves the world is round. Except, none of that is true. By the 15th century, educated Europeans already knew the Earth was spherical. Ancient Greek mathematicians, like Pythagoras and Eratosthenes, had proven it more than 1,000 years earlier. The real debate wasn't about the shape of the planet, but its size. Columbus's calculations were wrong. He believed Asia was much closer than it actually was. He thought he'd reached India when he stumbled upon the Bahamas, hence Indians. Yet centuries of textbooks turned his miscalculation into heroism. Columbus became a symbol of courage and discovery, while the truth that he was lost and mistaken was buried under national pride and myth-making. We turned a flawed man into a flawless legend. Number 2. Marie Antoinette and Let Them Eat Cake. Few quotes in history have done more damage than 4 little words. Let them eat cake. It's the ultimate symbol of royal arrogance. A queen so detached from her starving people that she mocks their hunger. But here's the twist. Marie Antoinette never said it. The phrase appeared decades before she even arrived in France. It likely originated from philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who used it in a story long before the French Revolution. Revolutionary pamphlets later attributed it to Marie Antoinette as propaganda, a tool to inflame hatred toward the monarchy. Was she extravagant? Yes. Out of touch? Probably. But she was no monster sneering at the poor. The cake quote was a fabrication, one that cemented her image as a villain and helped justify her execution. History didn't just record her downfall, it helped create it. Number 3. The Trojan horse that never was now. Let's travel back further into the mists of myth and warfare, to ancient Troy. For centuries, the story has captivated us. After years of fruitless siege, the Greeks built a giant wooden horse, filled it with soldiers, and tricked the Trojans into bringing it inside their walls. That night, the hidden warriors emerged, opening the gates and destroying the city. It's an unforgettable story, but perhaps too perfect to be real. Archaeologists have found ruins of Troy, but no evidence of an actual horse. Historians now believe the story might have been a metaphor. Perhaps the horse referred to a siege engine or a deceptive tactic. The poet Homer likely never meant it literally, but his epic The Iliad transformed metaphor into myth. Yet the image endures because it's brilliant storytelling. The idea of victory through deception, of trust turned into downfall, resonates across cultures. The Trojan horse may not have existed, but as a lie, it's one of the most powerful ever told. Number 4. Nero and the burning of Rome. Few rulers in history have a worse reputation than Emperor Nero. The story goes that when Rome burned in 64 AD, Nero stood above the city, playing his fiddle and laughing as flames consumed his empire. But the truth is far less cinematic and far more complicated. For one, the fiddle didn't even exist. String instruments like that wouldn't appear for another 1,000 years. Ancient accounts reveal that Nero wasn't playing music. He was actually coordinating relief efforts, opening his palaces to refugees, and providing food and shelter. So why do we remember him as a monster? Because after his death, his political enemies, especially historians loyal to the Senate, rewrote the story. They needed a villain to justify his downfall. The fiddling Nero tale was an early form of propaganda and an astonishingly successful one. 2,000 years later, the smear campaign still works. Nero's name remains a synonym for cruelty, proving how one lie told well enough can outlive the truth. Number 5. Duck and cover, the Cold War's comforting illusion. Jumping forward to the 20th century. Imagine you're a school kid in the 1960s America. The Cold War is in full swing, and your teacher tells you that if a nuclear bomb hits, you should duck and cover under your desk. The idea was comforting, that a few inches of wood and steel could protect you from the apocalypse. But it was a lie. If a nuclear blast struck anywhere near your city, that desk wouldn't save you. The campaign wasn't about survival. It was about psychology. The US government wanted to give citizens a sense of control, to prevent panic in the face of something uncontrollable. Duck and cover was one of the most effective pieces of propaganda ever produced. A soothing fantasy in an age of terror. It didn't protect lives, it protected morale. Number 6. The Viking horned helmet. When you picture a Viking, what do you see? A tall, fierce warrior with a horned helmet storming through the battlefield. It's an image burned into pop culture, from cartoons to Halloween costumes. But here's the truth. No Viking ever wore a horned helmet. Not one. Archaeologists have found dozens of Viking helmets, and none had horns. The image actually came from 19th century opera productions, especially Richard Wagner's Ring Cycle, where costume designers added horns for dramatic flair. In reality, Viking helmets were practical, rounded, and simple. Horns would have been a dangerous liability in combat, but art is powerful, and once the horned Viking appeared on stage, it became legend. The world believed the costume, not the evidence. Number 7. Napoleon, the Short Emperor. We've all heard the phrase Napoleon complex, the idea that short men overcompensate with aggression or ambition. The problem? Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't short. At the time of his death, he was recorded as 5 feet 2 inches in French units, which actually translates to about 5 feet 6 inches or 5 feet 7 inches in modern English measurements. That was completely average for his era. So where did the myth come from? From his enemies, specifically British cartoonists and propagandists who wanted to mock him. By depicting him as a tiny, angry man, they turned a military genius into a caricature. The small man image stuck, and history adopted it as fact. The truth is, Napoleon's ego was big, but his height wasn't small. The world simply preferred the joke. Number 8. The Salem Witch Trials. A misunderstood madness. Salem, Massachusetts, 1692. It's the ultimate story of hysteria. Villagers hunting witches, accusing neighbors, and executing women believed to fly on broomsticks and consort with the devil. But the truth is more complex and far more human. The witch trials weren't driven by fantasy so much as fear. Salem was a town divided by politics, land disputes, and religion. The first bewitched girls were likely suffering from illness or stress, and their accusations snowballed in an environment already primed for paranoia. There were no pointy hats, no covens, no secret spells. Most of the accused were simply victims of suspicion and social tension. The real witchcraft wasn't in the woods. It was in the human mind. The Salem trials remind us that lies often thrive, not because people are evil, but because they're afraid. Number 9. The Earth as the center of the universe. Few lies have shaped human thought as deeply as the ancient belief that Earth was the center of everything. For centuries, the geocentric model, with our planet fixed in the middle of the cosmos, was unquestioned. It was comforting. The idea that humanity sat at the heart of creation. The church embraced it, and to challenge it was heresy. When Galileo Galilei presented evidence that the Earth orbited the sun, he wasn't celebrated as a scientist. He was branded a heretic and forced to recant. The truth was dangerous because it threatened power. It took centuries for the heliocentric model to triumph, but when it did, it changed everything. Humanity had to face a humbling reality. We weren't the center of the universe after all. This wasn't just a scientific correction. It was a philosophical revolution, a reminder that sometimes the biggest lies are the ones we tell ourselves to feel important. Number 10. Einstein failed math. And finally, a modern myth that refuses to die, that Albert Einstein, the world's most brilliant physicist, failed mathematics as a child. It's a comforting story, proof that even geniuses stumble, but it's entirely false. Einstein was a gifted student, excelling in math and physics from an early age. The confusion came from a mistranslation of his report card. The grading system in his Swiss school had reversed numerical scores, so what looked like failure was actually excellence. The story spread because people wanted to believe it. It gave hope that anyone, no matter how ordinary, could grow into greatness. It's a beautiful idea, and that's precisely why it endured. Sometimes the most powerful lies aren't malicious, they're simply inspiring. Across time, from Columbus to Einstein, from Nero to Napoleon, these lies share one thread. They endure because they serve a purpose. They comfort us, inspire us, or help us make sense of chaos. History isn't just a record of what happened, it's a reflection of what people needed to believe happened. Every myth starts with a spark of truth, and every truth can be buried beneath enough storytelling. When a simple narrative feels more satisfying than a messy reality, the lie wins. But history deserves better. The past cannot defend itself, only we can. Every time we question, research, or challenge a fact that everyone assumes to be true, we bring history a little closer to honesty. Because if the past can be rewritten once, it can be rewritten again by anyone for any reason. Truth isn't invincible, it survives only when people choose to protect it. So the next time you hear a story that sounds too perfect, too heroic, or too convenient, pause. Ask yourself, is this truth or just another beautiful lie? Because the real history of our world, the one beneath the myths, is far messier, far stranger, and far more fascinating than anything we've been told.